Good morning from beautiful Brisbane, Australia. How are you this morning? Welcome to Complex PTSD TV. My name's Linda and I'm your certified trauma recovery coach. Welcome if you're here for the first time. It's great to have you join us and I hope you enjoy our class together. If you're here for the live and if you're here for the replay, do a #replay. It's my greatest joy to come to you during these times because it's very challenging and it's actually very traumatic for a lot of people who've never been in a traumatic situation. So for those of us who've come through childhood developmental trauma, we actually understand what other people are going through very, very well. And we have the unique ability to be able to sit with people and say, I understand. And we truly do understand how out of body it can feel to be living in these times because we've been through incredible stress and trauma at such a young age that now we're adults, we actually have this unique ability to say, I see that you're stressed, that you're anxious, that your body's holding on to fear as well, that your brain is shut down, and we understand exactly what is happening for other people at this time. So reach out to other people because they need it, okay? People really need it because they're not even where we're at, where we can speak up. All right, we're actually, some of us are actually at the stage, obviously I am because I'm sitting here talking, but where we can say, let's have that real conversation about the incredible fear you're feeling at the moment. Let's have the real conversation about how anxious things are for you right now. And we're able to do that for other people because we truly understand what it's like to be immersed in fear and anxiety, depression and so much more every single day of our life. And we also know what it's like to begin to take the steps to not just battle the internal war that's raging inside of us, but how to begin managing and feeling safe again in our lives. So help somebody understand that it's possible for us to get through this. Now this morning, I wanted to share with you 12 social alternatives as we go through these times because they're things that we may or may not have thought of, but they are things that we can do to help with our executive functions, some of them. They are things that we can do to reach out into our community and teach other people to reach out as well. Because we're all going through times that we've never been through. We're all trying to find our way through one step at a time. And we need information so that we can make this happen. So make our social alternatives that we can do happen a lot more quickly than trying to work it out on our own. All right. And the one thing I don't want for you is to try and have to work all of this out on your own. So my broadcasts are definitely centered around proactive things that we can do at this time. Now, because I give you 12 things, it doesn't mean we go off and try and do 12 things because that adds to the overwhelm. What we can do is pick one, all right? And just one a day or one every few days or one once a week. Wherever you are in your recovery, it's important that we schedule the time to do one of these things. So we write it down and we reach out or we get online, depending on what it is, and we make that time to begin to turn our social connections around because our brain will shut down. It's new. We don't get a get out of jail card free when it comes to doing new things. When we've got complex PTSD, we actually have to be willing to step up and go, right, this is hard. This does change my body. It does teach my brain to stop shutting down all the time. and it is going to cause me to get tired as well. So if you've been listening to my journey over the last couple of days, I had to stop gym. I had to think of what else could I do. I then implemented it, which was going out for a walk at 4:30 a.m. yesterday morning. And me, even as we were walking around, my brain's shutting down. So I've got Nick massaging my head because he has fingernails, so it stimulates my head. So that the connection and the stimulation could just give me enough room to keep breathing, because you'll find when your brain shuts down that the breathing becomes very, very shallow. All right. So this is why I'm very much build an awareness around your breathing, because you've got to be aware of when you're either shallow breathing or shutting down in order to help get more oxygen in, because our brain alone needs our cardiovascular system to function well. So because of 3 days of change, last night I just fell asleep after eating dinner. Basically, I fell asleep in the lounge chair and woke up and went, oh my goodness, I didn't even make it to bed. But that's because of the changes and me being determined that my brain isn't going to remain on shutdown. Now, I can't stop it shutting down because of how it was programmed in childhood, but what I can do is keep teaching it that I'm safe to get out and do different things. So this morning I didn't even hear my alarm go off either. So this is literally how tiring it is to get our brain off shutdown and to be willing to keep working at our mental health. And the reason we want to do 12 social alternatives as well is because we need to be able to go through the next umpteen months. We don't know how many yet, so let's even call it 3 for the moment. We need these things, and we need to be choosing to do these things so that we have a good mental health when the world comes back to life, when we get to go back and do all the normal things that we were doing. And maybe through all this time, we're going to learn new ways of connection, new ways of doing social things that can last us a lifetime as well. All right. So the first thing I want you to do is, if you've got children of any age, and for me, my kids are adults, but we can do this, sit down and learn to play electronic games with them. Now, here's why. If your kids are older like mine, they actually play games with people all around the world. So the electronic capabilities are that you can sit there with headphones on or earplugs in, and for us, we're in 3 different parts of a big house, and you can be connected with somebody. And look, I've never laughed so much in all my life, for starters, because it's so multi-dimensional using one of the controllers that it literally forces your executive function to come online. And it's the most incredible feeling when that happens, because I don't think I've ever had that much executive function. But again, we're teaching our brain to come off shutdown, so it is tiring as well. I think I did it for an hour and then slept for about 3, because it's a whole new way of processing things. But more importantly, it's a whole new way of connecting, and because you're talking to somebody, you're interacting with someone in a game, and through the game we're talking to each other about who's doing what, who goes where, and the connection that you feel is incredible. So I want to encourage you that even if you're not got kids, get online, get a PlayStation and learn how to play Destiny, okay? Because you will meet people around the world that you've never met. For me, obviously, my kids are teaching me, but there are people around the world, like one of my sons will get on there with you and teach you. He's a really good teacher at it, has the patience of Job, really, he's really good. So do something like that, because it will really make you feel connected in the most incredible way more so than even having just a one-on-one interaction with someone at times, because you're interacting with more than one person. And once I did that, I totally understood why they get on there and play these games and enjoy it so much. And it's not even about the game, it's about the interaction, the social interaction that you get by doing these things. Okay, give it a go and let me know how you go. Okay, send a gift card to someone. Now, why would doing something for someone else make you feel more connected and more social? It makes you feel good to do something for somebody else, all right? And even if it's not a gift card, another thing you can do is send a book that you've read that you enjoyed. And if you've got somebody who's isolated, do something like this for them, because most people aren't used to being isolated. Keep in touch with them. Send them something that gives you the opportunity as well to have a chat with them. So if you're going to send somebody a book, do a book that you've found that was really great and that you could have a conversation with. Or get a group of people together, buy the same book and do a book club together. And you can do that online, just even on Facebook Messenger. You can have multiple people. You can have Google Hangouts. You can have multiple people together on screen doing a book club, actually doing anything. Another thing you can do is set up a new tradition where, even if both of you got a Monopoly board, this is just for example, and you both sat there on screen, or the whole family sat there on screen together, because remember, at the moment, we're doing you can be with the people who are in the same household as you. So, do things like this, where even if you've got the board game in front of you, both of you, all of you, wherever you are in the world, all of you are moving the pieces, and you're still going to have that same connection, that same interaction. You can do this with movies as well, because we're not allowed to go to the cinema. You can do things like start a watch party on Facebook, okay? And then everybody joins in. If you do it privately and it's just the family doing it, then you can all have earphones in and, with your speaker, and you can actually talk to each other through the movie if that's what your family does. We don't tend to talk a lot through the movie, but it's good to have that companionship of watching the movie at the same time, okay? Make an online coffee date. Now, I just need to drink coffee, okay? Oh my goodness. Set a time. This is vital. Set a time to do this. All right, because if you don't make the time, you're just going to go, yeah, I'll get to it. Have a coffee date with your friend and catch up with them and see how they are. Use the electronic mediums that we've got for your benefit, all right? Have a coffee date and be like in a cafe. Bring your coffee, bring your sweet treat or savoury treat, and sit down and make that time and set it aside just to have your coffee date. I know that you're not out at the local cafe, but you can still do that. We can still be here and chat to each other and still have that connection. It's vital for our mental health that we do this. Send short text messages to your friends. Say g'day, just checking in. I do this with all my best friends as well. Just seeing how you are. We don't have to have long conversations. It's not about sitting down and all of a sudden, we're having long conversations. It's just, I want to check in and see how you're going. All right? And we need to do this because people are going to be going through extraordinary times on top of the other things that we're going through as well. Be old-fashioned and write a card or write a letter, especially to those who are in nursing homes that have already shut down as well. They come from a time when we're used to writing letters, when we're used to sending cards. When you sit down and take the time to write to somebody, it's really a heartfelt thing. I used to do this for my nan when I was a young girl all the time. I'd write her letters. She told me as I grew up she didn't like it because she had to write back. But she did like getting the letters, but she just felt compelled that she had to write back, and it wasn't easy, but she did it. She wrote back, and it's a really beautiful way to have something to hold on to in this time. It does really make us feel connected, and it is good for our mental health. Okay, now use WhatsApp. Okay, so that's WHAT, so what? SAPP, WhatsApp, to send voice messages. Now here's why. If you use Facebook Messenger, you only get a minute. I think that was it. Then on WhatsApp, I can send long voice messages to my daughter who's overseas, and vice versa. She sends them back. And you know what? Sometimes a voice message just feels so good, and it's really good for your mental health too. And you can usually tell if someone's letting you know how they really are, and saves the fingers doing the walking all the time. But WhatsApp will give you unlimited time to send your voice message, which makes it easier when you're learning to do it as well. And it's pretty simple. You just press the microphone and start recording, and it'll send. And it's a good way to communicate at this time. Do multiple ones a day, even if it's, I'm just checking in to see how you're going, and keep uplifting everyone. Keep supporting each other, uplifting each other, because we will get through this time. It will be good. We will have learned a lot, and then we will have put into place lots of different ways to engage with our family and friends that makes us all feel connected, and that we know what's happening for each other when we get to step outside again and into our larger community gatherings. Okay, now one of the things you can do is take a road trip. We're not allowed to leave Queensland, but we're not allowed to leave the country anymore. But road trip with the people in your household, plan it out, take your food and drink with you, and it can be the most enjoyable thing to do. All right, you don't have to do it every day or once a week even, but plan it out. And music, put your music on and sing your hearts out. And we do that that's something we do as a family, and we really, really enjoy it. It creates memories. So it's not even about going and seeing someone or seeing something. You can make a point of view, like, if you're in the country, go to the seaside for the day, or vice versa. Find something in the country that you've never seen and go for a drive there. And I love driving, so it's not an issue for me either. But work out how you can make the road trip enjoyable no matter what ages you are. And there is so much you can do. When my kids were younger, we had the DVD players, I think they were called, hang on the back of the seat to keep them entertained. And they loved it, absolutely loved it in the car. So do different things like that keep them entertained, and it is still getting them out of the house. It is still enjoying time together. And then, if you're like us and we sing out loud, then you get to learn lots of different songs too. And look, download, get on Pinterest and download, 50 car games to play. So actually, I'll see if I can find one for you and just put it in the Facebook feed so that you've got different ideas, because that's lots of fun too, because when we were kids, we didn't have electronics. So we used to play games in the car as we drove, things like I Spy, but there was lots of other ones as well. And these days there'll be more. Okay, so just choose one. I will put the information up in the Facebook feed too, so that you can keep it on your phone and go, right, be intentional about this. I'm going to do one thing today. And, for me, so I really want to set a coffee date with a friend, and I'm going to do that so that we can make it happen and stay in touch. Remember, our mental health is so important throughout this time, and we are the only one who can make it a priority for us. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and share it for the millions of people around the world now who are suffering, and we understand what it's like to go through these really hard times and how we can take just one next step. You are loved, and thank you ladies for turning up today. I really appreciate you. Bye for now.